Janita. Hi V. Good morning. Happy Sunday, fun day. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody today? It is a really pretty day. It's doing kind of what it wants to do here in Houston. How are things where everybody else is? What's the weather like where everybody else is? Well, Kev, you're here, so I know what the weather is like here. So yeah, keep tapping the screen. It's been, oh, is it that green stuff that's coming out the trees that's on your car? When you come out to your car has a nice mystical green because of all the stuff that's in the air. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of complaints about allergies, pollen, cedar. Ugh, it's not a good look. And then you add humidity to it and mosquitoes. Yeah, that is what it's like here in Houston. That's our existence. So there's that. So there have been some other things that have been going on outside of our Cleveland We Love the Nephews bubble. I did get to see some of child. It's 79 here now. And it's supposed to rain. It's been raining off and on. So there's that. So I did get to see some of the spring game from Boulder. And it's very apparent that this is a different team. This is a different team from last year's team. And I am excited in this sense that we had gotten a little spoiled because we loved the two dream teams from 22-23 season and then 23-24 season. We really we really liked those teams. Yeah, we did. And there were some exceptional players. I mean, we got to see some really, but yesterday watching those boys, I was excited for them. Thank y'all for the screen taps. I was excited for them that they are now being able to play and be able to play in their own shadow. And they're no longer under Cam and BJ and Chinzy and Travis and Shador and Shiloh. Xavier, I mean, LaJohntay, Will. There were so many amazing players in those 2 seasons. And they set a high bar. They did. They set a high bar. And we're spoiled. We were like, okay, where's the razzle dazzle? But this team is showing the gifts and the things that make them special. And I really am happy for them in that aspect because now they will be able to be appreciated and not have to fall into the shadows of someone else. They are definitely a team that is in sync with one another, both good and bad. And I say that Coach Prime takes a lot of flack for when the boys get into it, that he doesn't interfere. He doesn't interfere. He doesn't intervene. He doesn't say anything. Only thing he says is that if somebody feels froggy with your teammate, that whole bench better clear. And they get it. And anyone who will speak to that they should do something different, what ulterior dimension have you been living in where people don't take it out on the field? It is what it is. It's called a gridiron. They're not called gladiators for nothing. Now, I do not think that Coach Prime will allow them to do anything to hurt one another, but if you feel froggy and you pick some with somebody, now you got to ride the wave, and you're going to have to stand on what you say you standing on. But we know how that works. They go at it, they lock it up, and after they take a shower, they eating pizza and playing PlayStation, and there's that. So can't really get into what everybody else is saying. But yesterday, the playmaking, the chemistry, the execution, it definitely looked and felt like this is a team that's playing together, which means they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They've got speed. They have strength. They've got quarterbacks. I love that. They have quarterbacks, and the team trusts and likes their quarterbacks. Last year, we couldn't say that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Sometimes I just can't be serious, even when I am being serious. So there's that. There are some things that are upcoming, and I want to speak on this. Let's talk about Michael Jackson for a minute, can we? Just for a little bit. So there's nothing more. Oh my, that's a big boy. There is nothing more, hello, mommy fine, that I cannot stand is for somebody to get in trouble. And when you bring it to their attention that they did something wrong, then the next time they point the finger talking about, look at them. You want to know some peace? You know what? We ain't going to even say nothing about them. Because you could give some people everything they ask for and they'll still tell you, that's not what I asked for. Everybody want what they want until they get it. Hey, Lisa. Happy Sunday fun day. So back to this Michael Jackson thing. So when Michael Jackson was still here and they drug him to court and annihilated his character and his reputation, stripped him financially to where he had no choice but to give up the Sony catalog, which is what it was all about in the first place. Tony Mottola was pissed because he owned all of the masters, which means he pretty much owned 50% of the entire recording industry. Well, you can't let a black man do that. And even when all charges and stuff were cleared, public opinion had been tainted of Michael Jackson. Well, lo and behold, almost 17 years later, following the passing of his life, now we discover he was not doing the things you said he was doing. He was actually protecting children because he knew what was going on. Hey, Rochelle. He knew what was going on. Okay. So now on the eves of his movie being released, and the world again is excited and unanimously looking forward to sharing this movie with each other and celebrating one of the most iconic performers in this lifetime. Here we come with allegations, and not new allegations, but allegedly his own daughter is now changing her stance and agreeing in support of some of the people who allegedly accused him. Now, I think that's rich. Okay, y'all keep tapping the screen. I'm going to fix my words because I want to be careful in what I say and how I say this. His youngest son, I'm willing to put all my money in a bucket. That is his biological son. His two older children, they're his kids because he say they're his kids. Now, with that being said, remember, y'all, I'm saying things nicely. Certain groups of people, they just tend to do things because that's just what they do. They are not like us. Michael Jackson's youngest son, oh, he is like us. And I don't know if you all have kept up with him, but he is a fierce protector and advocate for his father, for his father and his legacy and his estate. There is nothing that comes to the table about Michael Joe Jackson Productions and Blanket Jackson is not present and accounted for, checking that all T's are crossed and all I's are dotted. That young man went to war with his own grandmother because he was like, Grandma, what these people are telling you is not the truth. They are trying to come through the back door and take from you. I'm telling you, do not do that. Now, of course, they gave it to the public as if there was discourse and division in the Jackson family. No, that baby is protecting his father's name and his legacy and making certain that what is Michael Jackson's remains Michael Jackson's. So there's that. Now, the two older children, they're who they are. But those are Michael Jackson's children. Blanket, I'm looking that little boy in his face. I'm also looking at that scalp and them roots. Are y'all catching what I'm putting down? I'm just hey, Demi. I'm just saying. One of these is not like the others. Exactly. Exactly. Which is probably why Paris and Janet, they lock heads. Because one thing for certain, two things for sure. There were two Jackson siblings that they didn't play about each other. That's Michael Joseph and Janet Demita Jo. Those two, see, we didn't have the internet at the time when they was cheering, so we couldn't keep up with them like we been keeping up with the siblings, the Sanders siblings. Hey, Kumi. If you think Shiloh and Shador was thick as thieves, you need to roll the tape back. That Michael and Janet was not to be played with, honey. They were dead ass about each other, and she still is. You will watch your manners and your tone when you're talking about Michael Jackson, okay? She didn't went to war with Jermaine, aka the Sharpie King. Okay? Do not play. Those two right there. So now that little miss, now this is alleged, but it did make some credible newspapers. But in the day and age of the orange toddler, I mean, credibility is relative to who you're talking about. But I'm just saying that is not the only fodder that has come out in the recent weeks. And this past week was the premiere of Michael's movie. And Michael's biopic, by critics already. You better say that, Rochelle. You better say that. Excuse me. The reception by critics and the performance community has already said that this movie is definitely going to be on all of the lists. The performance that Michael's nephew Jafar has given, first of all, we've seen bits of behind the scenes. We've seen clips of the trailer. Jafar Jackson became his uncle, and I mean in every mannerism, his look, how he sounded in singing his uncle's music. And it never fails that when it is a moment for us, I think Michael B. Jordan said it best when he clapped back at Kim. Anytime there is a moment where Black men are put in a position where they are on a pedestal of excellence, here inserts a pale princess. Or they will use something to dismantle the pedestal. He is by far the greatest performer of all time, hands down, globally. There is nowhere in the world that you can go and mention his name and the aura of his performance energy is still resonating with people. There is not a stadium he stepped into that was not sold out. There is no piece of music he has created that people have not wanted to get their hands on. Everybody in this world, from babies on up, have been touched and moved by his presence. And let us be clear. You can be charismatic and charming and still have evil intent, but it does not transcend in longevity. You just get to fool people for a little bit. But people who are of pure spirit and energy, that transcends and it doesn't change. And if you want to know how good a person is, watch children around them. Watch animals around them, because that type of energy is not something you can speak on. It is something that is felt. Children, I won't even say children flock to him, but it is apparent that children felt very safe around him. They were children. There's not a video that has been captured with him and the children. And the fact that unlike other adults, when other adults engage with children, they are very constricting and limiting as to how children can be themselves around them. And he is one of those adults who was okay with kids being kids, so much so that he made the environment like them. But I also think it was very gratifying for him because in a lot of instances, he did not have a childhood at all. He's been a performer since he was 5 years old and been in the public's eye and not permitted to be his actual true self. But with children never saw him as black, white, gay, straight, rich, poor. They were drawn to his energy. They were drawn to his energy. And when you have some of the most influential, powerful, and rich young white people come out and say what you're saying is not true, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And then to find out Corey Feldman, bless that baby's heart, I do hope he is getting the help and support he needs, to come out and tell you that Michael Jackson's Neverland was a safe place. It was where you could go to get away from the people that were doing these things. And these children confided in him. Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Macaulay Culkin, Emmanuel Lewis. These are children who were at the top of their game and were in the midst of all of these reports that are coming out now. And they were there at Neverland and they were telling him what was happening. So quite naturally, now we know it wasn't just about the catalog. Y'all didn't like him because he knew your business. So here we are, 2.5 weeks from the world premiere of his biopic. And by all measures, the biopic was done. It's directed by Antoine Fuqua, the same gentleman who did Training Day. Yeah. The same man that did Equalizer. So the biopic is in good hands. We know this. So there was no shenanigans and no farkle narkle bull dookie going on in terms of recreating this. And the fact that all of the brothers, we ain't talking about Jermaine, all of the older brothers, as well as Janet, Reby, she don't talk much. Latoya, I'm not gonna cross you out of the sibling pack, honey, but some of your credibility is kind of shooketh. I believe some of the stuff you were saying about Joe, but I can't hold you to everything else you said. But Jackie, Marlon, Randy, the nephews, the nieces, Jafar himself. They okay. They were okay with the script. They were okay with what was in there. And I'm really cool with Jafar because he is Jermaine's son, but he ain't real pleased with some of the shenanigans of his daddy. And that's a whole nother conversation. We ain't gonna get into that. Let's stay focused. We talking about Big Mike, okay? So the fact that this film is about to release, the hit job that they are doing subtly and trying to bring back up the last 5 years of Michael Jackson's life and that torrential court debacle that occurred, it's not going to work. And let me say this out loud to the people who are trying. The Epstein files are the Epstein files. It's a little late for y'all to be trying to do damage control. And we're not getting ready to play that, oh, but what about him? No, this is not a what about him. Okay? And the fact that your girl Melania got up on a press conference and tried to do some damage control by nudging victims, that didn't go the way y'all planned it. So now you think you're going to come for Michael Jackson? Be very clear. And I'm going to say this with hand sanitizer and a napkin in my hand as I hold yours. We don't give a damn what you try to come out with, what you attempt to do to slander and tear his name down. If you choose to use his daughter as a pawn in that scheme to dismantle, I mean, it has, this last year, the attempts to dismantle and deconstruct the Black men in our community who are beacons of light, empowerment, and upliftment to the community. Your attempts at doing that, we are so over it. OVA, over it. We are over it. And when that movie releases, trust and understand, know this. We are going to that movie. Yes, we're going to also watch it at home on our jailbroken Roku, Fire Stick, and everything else. But just know and understand, we are going to wear the outfits. We're going to have glitter gloves, glitter socks, beaded jackets, flooded jeans, penny loafers. We are going because what people who don't like him don't understand is in the moment when we are listening to his music and dancing and reliving whatever moment we experienced by him, whether it was Motown, Soul Train, the American Music Awards, the Motown 25th anniversary, whatever. In that moment, every single soul on the planet that loves and misses him, we are going to be in that movie theater and we are going to relive every single moment we can. There is nothing that you can say and put out there that is going to change that. He has earned his place. He has earned his place. And the only regret that we all have is that he left this earth and we could not tell him how sorry we were. How sorry we were that we left him and let people do what they did to him. A lot of things we just did not know, but we do know now. We know now. And that changes ball game. So if you were like me, that googly-eyed 12-year-old sitting in front of your TV watching Kurt Warner on MTV with that earth globe rotating with the clock on it counting down until the premiere of Billie Jean video coming on MTV, waiting, running back and forth to the phone because your friends were on the party line. Did it come on yet? Did it come on yet? It's the same time. Stupid. It ain't came on my TV. It ain't came on your TV neither. And we waited and we sat in front of our televisions. And when it came on and we watched, we screamed, we danced, we got on the phone, we got on our bikes and rode over to each other's house. Did you see the video? It's coming back on in an hour. And we sat there and we watched it together. And the next Monday, it was on Friday. I remember that. It was on a Friday. It was on a Friday or it was on a Sunday? It was on a Friday or Sunday because we wasn't in school. But the Monday we went back to school. Everybody was out on the field. All the boys was doing the moves. We was squealing and talking about he is so cute. Any teen magazine with his face on it, we bought in droves. The poster with him in the yellow sweater and the brooches. The poster with him and the chimp. The poster with him and E.T. The poster with him in the Royal Majestic outfit. We had them all on our walls. And every album that came out, every video that premiered, every concert, we were present and accounted for. He is the soundtrack of the majority of our lives. And when that movie premieres, we are going to pay good money and go sit in that theater and for 2 hours and some change, relive our childhood. Relive those moments that Michael Jackson was a part of even when he didn't even know it. And these ugly stains that they are attempting to put on his name because his posthumous moment is arising, good luck with that. And I say this, I hope to God that those alleged rumors of his daughter siding with those people, that they are false. But if they are not, sweet Paris, you were not even old enough to understand what was going on with what they tried to do to your father. And you happen to be a very blessed human being because he chose you to be his daughter. Remember that when people are saying things about him. He chose you. Blanket, he made him. I don't care what nobody say. I said what I said, Rochelle. I said what I said. That's Michael Jackson's son. Oh yeah. I don't know if they made him with the help of the doctors. Or if Big Mike is who everybody said Big Mike is after he passed away. Because Whitney say Mike is who he say he is. Some other people say Mike is who he say he was. They just think because that high-pitched voice. I don't know. The gyrating of the hips and the grabbing of the stick was... I don't know how people said that man was not who... I never got tambourine from him. Never. I got really sensitive. I got really shy, but I didn't get because I have some male friends that are really shy, and people be thinking because they shy and they sensitive that they're gay. No. No. They're not only are they getting all the girls, their shy sensitivity gives them access in rooms that the alpha males can't get into. And I think that was the problem they had with Mike. There were no rooms that Michael Jackson could not go into. There were no rooms that Michael Jackson could not go into. Period. Even his older brothers were like, if your girl met Mike, so there's that. I'm looking forward to going to the movie. I am looking forward to seeing the movie. I have been loving the clips of all of the impersonators who honor him all the time. It has been a sheer joy. And I know the movie. And yes, your girl is trying to find her some glitter socks. Like 1984, 85, you could buy them anywhere you wanted. You could get the glove, you could get the socks, you could get the jackets. It's 2026, and my God, today, where do you find the glitter socks? I ain't asking for a friend. I'm asking for myself. Because who not going to the Michael Jackson movie dressed like they supposed to be? Chat, anybody what y'all wearing to Michael Jackson? Because I know for sure I'm wearing some jeans and some penny loafers. Yeah. I'm thinking if I can find the glitter socks, I want the glitter socks, some chino floods, penny loafers, a white tee, and a jacket. Yeah. Yeah. That's the look. Hello, Accra. That's the look. That's what I'm wearing. You know what, Eric? First of all, what you're not going to do is come in here talking about since Stefanski been fired. We don't have nothing to talk about. We're talking about MJJ. What are you talking about? We don't have nothing to talk about. The blood clot is going on here. Oh, Angel, let me tell you something, okay? Okay, let me tell you something. I do love Michael Jackson. I adore Prince. Ooh. Ooh. Baby. The purple badness with the third eye wide open. We don't even have enough time, honey. We don't have enough time. We're gonna let Michael have his moment. We'll talk about Prince another day, because I love me some Michael Jackson. But baby, let me tell you something. My room, my pink painted room, wall to wall with his royal badness. There was a little corner with Michael Jackson posters in it, because I did love Mike. But Prince, hey Carla, Prince. Whew. There, you said it with my whole chest, Rochelle. I adore Prince. Oh, honey. That androgynous ball of fire. Yes, indeed. Ooh. Both of them gone too soon. Gone too soon. Gone way too soon. Between Prince, Michael Jackson, and Nippy. I'm sorry, some people may not know who I'm talking about. Whitney Elizabeth. Yeah. Ooh. Gone way too soon. Oh, the gifts that have been taken from us. The gifts that have been taken from us. But I can't wait for the movie to come out so we can, because we definitely gonna have a chat about it. We're gonna have a chat about it. And knowing us, we might even have a watch party once it come out where we can watch it on stream. Girl, Nippy was the girl's girl, okay? Nippy was the girl's girl. And, you know, let's go ahead and put some truth out there. Now that I'm older and I look back on some things, yes, we are blessed. Nippy, I think it was so unfair. I think it was so unfair how Nippy was treated and how she was handled. One, she was a body of talent and gift. They didn't know what to do with her. Like, they just scratched the surface with how the industry handled her, because that woman could do with her voice. Whitney could make you stand still, get goosebumps, cry, and smile all at the same time. That is how enigmatic her voice was. And I think because when she came along at that time, she's a young black woman from Jersey. She comes from a church and choir-based family. She came from Newark. She's related to industry royalty, Dionne Warwick, Aretha Franklin. The expectations that were put on her did not permit her to live as who she really was. There is no doubt in my mind that Whitney and Robin were girlfriends. And that wouldn't have been a problem. But it was very much a problem in 1981-82. It was very much a problem coming from the family that she came from. It was very much a problem for Clive Davis and the image he wanted to sell for Whitney. And I think she tried hard to contain it. I think, you know, she did what she could, but like anyone else, when shackles are put on him, y'all keep tapping, when shackles are put on people's creativity and their truth, then it will make them implode. I don't doubt for a second that she didn't love Bobby. I think she loved both of them. And unfortunately, she was being made to choose. And the person that she knew longest and loved, she had to force her out of her world. And I think that's when it was the cracking point for her. I honestly do. Because Robin was not only her lover, she was her best friend. Yeah. And you can see the difference in who she was from the time when Robin was still a part of her circle and when they made they forced Robin out. And so then, as she began to get vocal, we noticed that the sedation became more and more, and I think that was intentional. And instead of, again, letting it be truthful, we'll make Bobby Brown the villain. And that wasn't fair. Not that Bobby didn't have his own stuff too. But for her, she has this amazing voice. She's beautiful. She's modeling. Because a lot of people don't know that she was doing professional modeling. And she was doing professional modeling at a time when young Black women were not being permitted in those circles. She was on the cover of 17. It was the prominent white teenage girl magazine. She's been in other top magazines. And once they heard her voice, it's like, oh, okay, now how do we contain this? I mean, if you go back and you look at the pictures of Whitney from when she was a teenager and she was modeling and how they packaged her, and then even when she started to sing, and look at the shows that they sent her to. The Michael Douglas Show, Johnny Carson, Dinah Shore. So they packaged her as this middle America, easy to digest Black woman with this soul stirring voice, because on her early stuff, like that very first album, You Give Good Love and all of that, we got to hear her. And then after that, we went from that to I Want to Dance with Somebody. And don't get it twisted, I mean, she still sang. That's that first album, Rochelle. She still sang with all her voice. But what was missing was Newark. What was missing was Nippy. See, Nippy was on that first album. Hello, Blanche. Good morning. Nippy wasn't on that second album. That was Whitney Houston. And it wasn't until she lined up again with Babyface and Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and other iconic R&B songwriters and musicians that her sound started to sway back. But at that point, the damage had already been done. Clive Davis had seen to it that she was going to be made to be too white to be accepted by the Black community and submissively Black enough that white people would love her. And it bothered her because she's from Newark. She is an around the way girl. So now, on top of her social life, her personal life, now she can't do that. Now she can't even be who she is. But Whitney still let us know who she was. And I think that was to the chagrin of Clive Davis, because he wasn't able to contain it. When you go and look up any interview she had, she was Nippy all the time. Now, when she got on the mic, she did her little thing as a pop princess. But when she was in those interviews, honey, it didn't matter who she was talking to. She let you know who she was. Yes, Whitney Houston, Tony. Clive was not nice to her. Let's be very clear. And there's degrees to nice and unnice. You're not being nice to someone when you force them to live a lie and live up to an image and force them to disown their own identity in order to push sales and be accepted across the spectrum. That's not being nice. That's called greed and capitalism. So there's that. And when she became, let us remember again, because people tend to forget these things when we're talking about people. Whitney Houston started modeling at 15. At 17, she was in the studio. At 19, she had her first hit. She was still a kid. Still figuring things out. But one thing for certain, two things for true. What she had figured out is she was in love, and she was in love with Robin Crawford. Now, there was no doubt about that. And and here's the tea. All of us knew it. We knew it, and we still loved her. It was none of our business who she loved, who she was doing, whatever she was doing with. She was beautiful. She was talented, and she sang her panties off. We knew. And truth be told, when Robin was in her life, she was a different person. She was a different person. And I'm not saying that Bobby changed her. I will say this. When they forced her to make changes about herself and her circle, we watched her dissipate. You didn't like me with Robin. You don't like Bobby. I can't say this. I can't look like that. My own people don't. She went to that Soul Train Award and the community booed her. She won and they booed her. She's from Newark. And she ain't never pretended like she wasn't. We'll tell you in a minute. Do not play with me. I'm from Newark. Do not let these designer threads confuse you. When you said something fly about her husband, she checked you. Not in the this, that was thus. She gave you Nippy from Newark. So now everybody's like, oh, she's on drugs. She's this, she's that. No, y'all created that monster. Y'all created that monster. You should have just left well enough alone. Every time people from that generation, they tried to change, it sent them to places they didn't need to go. Boy George. Absolutely loved him in Culture Club. They didn't like the idea of a man who was androgynous and gay and loud and proud about it. Next thing you know, this baby is a chronic heroin addict. And let me tell you something as a psych nurse. The percentage of people who just wake up and just want to voluntarily give their life away to narcotics and alcohol, it's a very small number. Normally what happens is something is so traumatic and triggering. The pain of what they're dealing with, it has to be numbed. Oh, I love that song. I used to get on my mama's nerves because wherever we would go, somewhere in the car, I would be in the back seat behind her talking about, do you really want to hurt me? And she swing her hand and I do like that. She could not stand me singing that song on rotation. I loved Culture Club. I loved Boy George and Elton John. The man almost had a mental breakdown. About a month ago, I'm driving Uber and I'm listening to George Michael, Freedom. Now, I love that song from when I was a teenager. I'm just bopping and I'm singing and I'm listening, and then now I'm starting to cry because that was a song he wrote about himself and how He was being forced to because he's this nice looking young man. All the girls like him, but he's gay. And he knows he's gay. And the record producers and label, they know he's gay too. And they're making him change his look. They don't like the 2 earrings. They don't like the long hair. They don't like the soft face. So they changed the clothes. Remember when Wham first came out? What they looked like? And then next thing you know, they got George Michael. He in a leather jacket, boots, jeans. He got a rockabilly guitar. I mean, he's looking like a man's man. He's looking like a man's man. Whereas before in Wham, they got on neon colors. He's got on the fingerless gloves. He's dancing with the background singers. I mean, he is gay as he wants to be. We knew it. We didn't care. But the record label said, nope, we cannot do that. With this gay cancer going around, we can't do it. We can't do it. So let's change his look. They made him cut his hair. They made him grow out his facial hair. They took out both his earrings. They let him keep one earring with the cross on it because the album was called Faith. They put a rockabilly guitar across his arm, a leather jacket, some boots and jeans, and created this new image for him. And I'm listening to the words of Freedom. And he is talking about how everything was okay when he looked and was the desire of all the girls and the crushes. But there was something he needed to tell y'all. I don't like them. I like him. And the folks at MTV and the record label said, well, no, we can't do that, George. Let's go ahead and change that look. Let's get you some new clothes. Let's do something with the hair. Let's grow out the face. Hey, Steph. And just like everybody else, he went to alcohol abuse and narcotics, and he started getting in trouble because now he's sneaking. He got arrested because he was with someone in a park bathroom. Not a minor, just someone else. Another man. Sneaking. Not being able to be himself. They didn't even have the honor and respect to even let the poor man, George Michael, they didn't even let him pass in truth. It still was a cover-up. But go look up what his cause of death was. So many great people being forced to live lies and not be themselves. And even in 2026, when you mention some of these people, like if you mention Whitney's name, the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is, oh, it's so tragic. She was a drug addict. That's all you remember about her? But since you opened the door, let's go ahead and walk through it. How did she get there? How did she get there? Was it the trauma from her being molested as a child? Was it the fact that the person who gave life to her, she loved and trusted, was stealing from her dad? What about that? No, wasn't that? Was it the fact that she'd fallen in love with her best friend and this was a person she trusted who was protecting and taking care of her, and you forced her to force her out of her life? Was it that? I need you to dig deeper, baby, about George Michael. Then when she got married, then you commenced to tearing her husband down, making him the foe of everything. Oh, we cannot let our black princess fit into that. We'll just put it all off on Bobby. This is somebody she loves. This is the father of her daughter. I mean, when you say she was a drug addict, I mean, come on, give us some context. Please. That chaps my hide when people do that. Oh, I love Whitney Houston. Yeah, too bad she was a drug addict. There are so many things that you could say about a person. And I find it quite hypocritical, especially in this day and age, when there are so many people now who we know are doing heinous, disgusting things. And we can live and accept that. And people want to, case in point, the young man that was at the college and the pew pew in his neck. You better not say his name and not put some respect on it. Don't nobody want to hear about all of the racist, misogynistic, hate-filled rhetoric that used to come out of his mouth. He doesn't have any philanthropic deeds that we can talk about. He didn't do anything to help or build up anything. He didn't get it out the mud. But when you talk about the people from our community who may have fallen or left us too soon as a result of things, the only thing you want to plaster and talk about is what was the final downfall. We don't want to talk about what got us there. We don't want to talk about the contributions. I can tell you what, Whitney Elizabeth Houston is not in nobody's Epstein file. She ain't on nobody's sex offender list. She ain't hurt anybody. She hurt herself. She probably hurt her family. She probably broke their hearts. Our hearts were broken when she was taken from us. But she ain't did nothing to anybody else. Ain't nobody showing up at the door with bad news about your son or your daughter that have fallen as a result of somebody's greedy attempt to make money and elude jail. She ain't on nobody's list for trafficking nobody. And just like we knew what her lifestyle was, we knew there were things going on that were not right with her. The only thing we could do was the same thing we do all the time, is cover her in prayer, talk to God and leave it to God. But what we will not do is, now that she's no longer here, we know one thing's for certain. Her spirit is free now. She is able to be the beautiful songbird that she was, and she has found a peace and happiness she could not attain here. And what we have learned is we now know better. Thank you, Neo. And for our children who are coming up, who hold those same types of talents and gifts, we protect them a lot better than what we did before. We work at not letting happen to the children who come behind her befall that same fate. That's what we do. And that's why I captioned this, living by faith. It is hard, because it is. It is hard. Sometimes you be like, oh, it ain't happening fast enough, or God ain't responding fast enough. And then you just have to know and trust and believe that, yes, it is. It's going to happen. Like Clive Davis, you made a lot of money off of Whitney and a whole lot of other people. We know you were one of the architectures of the whole Sean Combs situation too. And, when these people have fallen or they've been taken away from us, you've always been right there at the center of it. And nothing ever happens to you. That's what we think. Because unfortunately, when it comes to karma and retribution, we got to wait on God. And that sucks sometimes. Because we feel like as swiftly as Whitney was taken from us, conviction and justice should have been served. but it's not for us to do. And that's when we have to bow our heads and bend our knees. Living by faith isn't hard unless you make it hard. See, the beauty of thinking and feeling is it's relative to the person that you're talking to, as well as the experience that people are going through. No, the choice to live by faith, it is not hard, but the act of living by faith is. There are moments, there have been moments, there will be moments in life where there are things that you want to do, and you know that if you do, you will interfere with the natural order of things. And those of us that know the difference between permissive will and perfect will understand that. And that a moment of satisfaction and gratification will not supersede the grand scheme of things. So living by faith and choosing to live by faith are two different animals. We can choose to live by faith. That's not a hard decision to make. It is the act of living by faith that is. I said what I said. I just sat here and gave you a dissertation on Whitney Elizabeth Houston and her choosing to live by faith and the hard journey it was to actually live it. Yes, Lisa, my God, today. She was definitely a woman of faith. But waiting on God to touch the people around her, it was getting to be a bit too much and too long to wait, and she took matters into her own hands. She loved that woman. She wanted to be with her, and that's what happened. And it cost her big. And then when she did what everybody told her she was supposed to do, you get you a husband. She fell in love with somebody, and even in that, she was still tap danced on. So please, let us be clear on the things that we say and declare and project on other people. Living by faith is hard. It was even hard for Jesus. And I'm glad, Clyde, that you brought that up, because that's what I'm going to say to this. I'm riding this morning and I'm thinking about how often people, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Not taking into consideration and remembering that with everything that Jesus did, he was having a conversation with the Lord. God was sometimes having to reassure him, what I'm asking you to do, it is the right thing to do. This figment of our imagination that Jesus just, I'm not doing anything today. There's a couple of thousand people out there. You know what I think I'll do? I'll just take this bread and this fish and I'm going to feed them all, and then maybe later I'll get a nap. Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's not how that worked at all. The magnitude of responsibility put on your back to be a leader of people that you know gonna doubt, question, and not believe everything that comes out your mouth. Your task is to go from pillar to post, mountain to sea, and to make sure that people understand the word of God. They clearly telling you, I don't see your God. I don't hear your God. And Jesus is like, but all of this stuff is here and we didn't put it here, so it had to come from my Father. Okay, fine. I'm sharing this information. If you believe, come with me. And people followed. But this fantasy that people have that Jesus was just this proverbial vision of perfection. And let me be clear with what I say, because I don't want people to mistake it as me saying something tainted or wrong. Jesus was the vessel that God chose to use to enlighten the rest of us, to bring the rest of us to a better and closer understanding of God. But even Jesus sometimes was reminded by his Father. And the people that Jesus was surrounded with and the people that Jesus went to first, they were the worst of the worst. They were the throwaways. They were the beyond sick. They were the folks that were so sick they were damn near dead. They were blind. They were malnourished, hungry, whores, and more. So please, when I say living by faith is hard, it is. You know how easy it is to do it the other way? Take the shortcuts, catch a lick. But the gratification is immediate and short-lived. And that's permissive will. The perfect will transcends into longevity and greatness. But it ain't gonna be easy in obtaining it. And you will have to work to keep it. And your faith will continuously be tested. Don't believe me? Tell you what. Make a plan to do something that's going to improve either your life or someone else's life. And you watch and see how many monkey wrenches and obstacles present itself. Then come back, Clyde, and say to me, living by faith, it ain't hard. Living by faith, it ain't hard. Okay. Yes, it is. Tell that to Medgar Evers. Tell that to Fannie Lou Hamer. Tell that to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Marcus Garvey, Nat Turner, Sojourner Truth, Phyllis Wheatley, Nelson Mandela. Tell them living by faith wasn't hard. Mamie Till. Betty Shabazz. Coretta Scott King. Fred Hampton's wife. Tell them living by faith, it's not hard. Now, I want y'all to do something. I want you to look at the top right-hand corner of the screen. And I say this all the time. When I'm in here and I'm shooting the breeze and cracking jokes and all of that, it's anywhere between 40 to 60 people in here. The minute I start talking about something tangible, but our good friend Clyde say living by faith ain't hard. Girl, let me cut up and start cracking some jokes. Or start talking about some football, talking about anything that is recreational. The minute I start talking about something that requires some intellect, deep thought, faith-based, woo, child, that number drops. It is what it is. But we're not going to just... Good morning. What you say? Let's see. You got your word, boo? Agreed, Angel. Agreed. Well, Kumi, you missed it, Pumpkin. Someone decided to say that living by faith was not hard. I didn't cook them. We just had to come to, you know. I'm really trying to work at being better about that, you know. Not reenacted. Well, Cloyd, I'm very happy for you in that instance, but that's relative to you, sweetheart. And it is also interpretive as well. Because when you say your life is easier, that can mean a million and one things. As it pertains to the person standing next to you, that is not necessarily true. Because the value system that we place on things is contingent on where we are in our lives. You may have reached a point in maturation and an epiphany that says, you know what, the value system I placed on the things before this change in my life, it was very different. I no longer want, desire, or need those things that were before very important to me. But now that I have crossed over into this other space, my level of understanding, my needs, my understanding and desires for other things, they are not the same. So life for me now is good. It is clutter-free. I have removed those things which were distractions and in the way. So yes, for you, life is probably grand. But when you're talking about someone who has faced a life of nothing but disappointment, they've had to get it out the mud, they've had to struggle, they don't know how to live because they have been surviving. You say to them, live by faith, and they tell you, I've been trying to believe in stuff, but believing in stuff ain't made nothing happen. The minute I got up and got on my grind is when it did. That is when living by faith becomes hard. They didn't say they don't want to live by faith, or they were not choosing it, but the behavior, the merit, the product of that is hard. Now for you, it may not be. And I am so glad that you have reached the point in your life where you're understanding the clarity, the center and the core of your world, your faith, your foundation. It is now solidified and you are in a place that you can acknowledge is better. But for the rest of us who are still moving in that light and moving away from the things we used to do to become the better version of ourselves than yesterday, living by faith is hard. Because I know what I can do if I get up here and go out and do what I want to do. Should I do it? Maybe not. Is it going to infringe on what is potentially better and long term in my best interest? It could possibly be. But this is where the decision to live by faith comes. Because now you got to understand, this is where you take your hands off of it, you let go and you let God. And it's on God's time. And the season could be today, could be tomorrow, could be months from now, it could be 10 years from now. But if you say you believe and you say you trust God, then take your hands off of it, step back and let him do his work. That is hard. I can get in this car every day and turn on this Uber app and I can make money and I can pay a bill. I can get something to eat. Does it fix my long-term, my long-range problems? Hell no. My arm's too short to box with God and fixing that. And that's when I have to be honest with myself and say, hey, chick, turn that app off and go home and go to bed. Whatever it is that you need, you already asked God for it and he's going to make it happen. Do what it is that you need to do. What you need to do right now is get ready to take these boards. What you need to do right now is finish getting this paperwork, these training pamphlets, and your ideology for this nonprofit together. That's what you need to do. Keep putting one foot in front of the other on the things that you need to do and take your hands off of God's business. See, I don't know nothing about God's business, but I am a natural born hustler and I know how to go out there and get a dime. I know how to go out there and get whatever it is that I want to. Should I be doing that? No. And that's when it gets hard. That's when it gets hard. Because I know what I can do. I don't know the realm of God's work. I know he's greater than me. And I know none of this exists without him. But I know for certain what I can go out there and do right now in this moment. God doesn't have a time clock. He don't move when I say move. He doesn't change things and move things because that's what I want to. He does it when it is the appropriate time. And what I say is the appropriate time may be the very moment that's going to knock my tail over the cliff. But to sit patiently and wait, that's hard. So I am constantly a work in progress. I am under construction. Even at 54 years old, I am constantly learning. I am constantly going back to the drawing board, figuring out what worked, what didn't. But one thing's for certain, two things for true. Every day I bow my head and I humble my heart and I thank him for the opportunity and the blessings that he has bestowed upon me and those I have yet to receive. And I understand that without him, none of this counts. And I got to trust. If I named and claimed and asked him for it, that's it. We don't need to revisit it. He heard me. That's hard. That is hard. You ever ask somebody to do something and then they didn't do it and you standing there and you like, do I need to say something to them? No, I'm not going to say nothing to them. They heard what I said, but then they don't do it. Now you standing there and you like, oh my God, I know that's exactly what it's like living by faith, except you don't get to go back and say, did God hear what I said? I know he heard that you don't get to do that. Hey, Boo Bear. Good morning. And Chloe, why would you say the hardest thing in life to do is forgiving people? Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about you. And it's not so much that that's hard to do. It's just people don't understand how forgiveness works. Forgiveness is about you. See, we forgive people so we can release that and be able to move forward. Because if we don't, we just hold on to it and it festers and it grows and we either implode, we get ulcers, we get stressed, we get heart attacks, strokes. So we forgive so we can have the peace we need. Kumi, what is wrong with you? I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, all of us get to a point of maturation and epiphany when we get to our point of maturation and epiphany. So once you get to that point, then your understanding, your enlightenment, your choices, they're very different. When I can tell you honestly, 20s and 30s, my early 40s, the patience and maturity that I have now, I did not have. I wasn't waiting on a thing. If I got a red notice for them lights to get cut off, I was moving in action. As a single mother, I wasn't hearing none of that. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sister So-and-so. I appreciate you praying for me, baby. But in the meantime, in between time, let me figure out what I'm going to do with the girls because I need to pick up some more shifts. That's where my head was at. You get disrespectful, you step out of pocket, I'm going to take your head off. My mouth is a cold piece. I ain't never have to put my hands on people. I would shank you too short to Shinola, if you get what I'm saying. I would read you from top to bottom with no problem. And I had no qualms in doing it, and I didn't care who you were. But after a while, it's like, okay, You felt good about yourself in that moment, but it didn't really fix the situation. You got that off your chest, but it didn't really fix the situation. You still stuck with what you was concerned with before. But that comes with maturation and experience and the desire to do something different. You change your mind and you will change your situation. I didn't like the way things were going, so I had to go to the drawing board and change what I was doing. It had nothing to do with other people. It had to do with me. You don't like the way things are going with you, start with you first. Change you. The minute that I changed me, then everything around me changed. The negative, toxic people who I had attracted with my behavior, they were gone because I was no longer being toxic. And I wasn't being toxic on purpose, but it didn't matter why I was being toxic. I was being toxic. So I was bringing that into my cipher. But the minute that I figured it out, you know what? You don't have to do those things. And you don't have to be worried about that. And the stuff that you're so concerned about, guess what? It's going to come back around again. So you're not missing anything. So that's where I'm at now. So I don't get caught up in all of that. Now, I have to admit, I will not tolerate it, girl. That is a word. Yes. The hardest thing to do is to be honest with yourself. Yes. We can lie good to other people. Try lying to yourself. It's hard. You'll lose sleep over it. I mean, it'll mess with you to your core. And if it doesn't, that makes you a sociopath. That's the psych nurse in me just letting you know. If your conscience don't eat at you when you're doing something you don't have no business doing, you a sociopath. Yeah, you are. But all of us elevate at different levels. We get things at different levels. You better say it. And sometimes those lessons are hard learned. Some of us have had to do do-overs. We just really thought we were smarter than the average bear, always thinking we can reinvent the wheel. And God's like, hold my beer. And then you learn. But I assure you this, once you learn those things, you don't revisit them ever, never again. Some of us get it on the first time. Some of us have to do do-overs. It's okay. That's the beauty of life. That is the beauty of God blessing us with another day. When my girls are still little, I would tell them all the time, every day that you wake up, you get to decide if you want to be a Picasso or you want to draw stick people. We get a brand new canvas every morning that we wake up. We get a full set 24, which we get an opportunity to do things all over again. And the beautiful thing about life is that there's people that come before us that show us things even without us asking, without us knowing them. They show us things through their experience, and we're able to observe, we're able to engage, interact, and learn from them. Because everything is a lesson. You know, if people go into things and they're like, well, I didn't get what I came to get out of it. But did you get something out of it? Then it wasn't a loss. That's a lesson. Baby, let me tell you something. When I started looking at things from that perspective, the winning became immaculate. Like, oh my God. Okay, so maybe I am not going to be able to go on vacation. But I did learn how to do vacation savings. I did learn if I can't afford to go to Greece, there is a place in America that looks just like Greece for half the money. And I could actually do that in 2 days versus long term. That right there, boo. Lesson or blessing. Exactly. So I walked away from that situation learning something. No, I didn't get to make the girls' trip, but I learned about this new place. And it's half the cost. So when my time frees up, if I want the beauty of an island in the clear, there's somewhere here in America that is tranquil and beautiful and looks just like it. No, it's not Greece. I'll make it to Santorini when I get there. The old version of me would have been mad. My mouth would have been stuck out. And I'd just been pissed off because I wanted to go to Greece. Like I said, change your mind, change your situation. In a perfect world, I want to go to the games, all the games in Boulder. I want to go to all the games in Cleveland. Be real, Manera. That's not going to happen. Somewhere in there, I got to work. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. So now I got to do the trade-off. Or maybe I don't. Because some people that go to the games, you know what they do? They go live. Okay, let me put my jersey on. Let me get my snacks. That is, of course, before I got my own stream and all of that. But you get what I'm saying. Change your mind. Change your situation. No, I'm not in the stadium, but I'm right there. I'm with the people that I like, that share the same dream and vision with me. We watching the game together. We talking crazy together. We virtually high-fiving. It's all how you think about the situation. Now, I could be really pressed and hard on myself and be like, this sucks. I don't never get to go nowhere. All I ever do is get to work. Continue to live your suck-face life. So I said all of that to say this. Let's just bring it all in together. Thinking and perception are the prequel to choices and behavior. I can't stand us. We can't be serious. Another angel said no. At least I have a job. What'd you say, Angel? I am keeping the main thing the main thing. I'll holler at y'all later. I got a job. Oh my God. W in the chat for the realness. W in the chat for the realness. I love us. I love us so bad. Let me tell you something. We have a way of, because what you're not going to do is make me feel bad about my situation. Oh, yes, you ate down with that one, Angel. She said, no, at least I have a job. I love us. I love us. Yes. Now back to we can't never be serious. I swear to God, we can't never be serious. To wrap everything up in a nice bow, Michael Jackson, George Michael, Whitney. The beautiful thing about this life is we get to see, hear, and feel. And in those senses, we obtain the mold or the direction or the trajectory of what it is that we want to do based off of what we are receiving from other people. But even in that, we all at one point in time have experienced a moment when the choices and where we were in our life in that moment, they didn't necessarily match. And it made us feel torn. It made us feel resentful. It gave us regret. And in some instances, it made us change our minds. And we did things that, as you know, in hindsight, we was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But the only thing we have that is constant, no matter how we evolve and all of that, is who we are organically in our spirit. And the people that I talked about today in the live, the one thing that all of them share in common, hey, Pac-Man, is that they had really beautiful spirits. They may have made choices that were not good for them. They may have done things that were embarrassing and disappointing, but they were beautiful spirits. When we watched George Michael when him and Andrew were together in Wham. We loved their music, the energy that came from their music. What transcended was joy and happiness, liveliness. You felt good. When they made him switch his image and he began to write, and we were listening to his songs, father figure, faith, freedom, we then gained a better understanding of the person who was being constrained. Michael Jackson performed from the time of 5 years old all the way up until the day he went on to the upper room. And he spent his entire life entertaining and making us all feel good, wanting to dance and enjoying his music. And even through all of the things that happened, no matter where he was and what he was doing, the energy from his spirit made us feel good. And the same for Whitney. And when we hear their music now, we can remember the first time we heard their songs, we watched their videos, we know what we were doing. We can remember what it looked like, what it smelled like, what that moment was. And that's powerful. It's extremely powerful. So I hope in this conversation today, the takeaway from all of that is that there is so much power in your spirit. The energy that you transcend and share with other people, it's a gift. Some people transcend the type of energy you just want to ball up and throw in the trash. And other people's energy makes you want to grab them and hug them, and you never want to see them go, which is why if they make that transition to the other side, it hurts because our brains understand it, but our hearts are selfish. And they long for what they love and what they will miss. Do not let people taint what is good and powerful in your world. Do not let them take your joy. Do not let them take your gifts. Be honest with yourself so you can be honest with the people outside of you. Living by faith is hard. That's not an excuse. It's not a cop-out. That is the truth. Even the Son of God had moments when he had to check in on his son and remind him who was in control. We are all perfectly imperfect, and it's by design. Because if everything was as it was supposed to be, there would be no room for growth. There would be no room for change. There would be no room for elevation. We would all just be one bland taupe picture. So, on this day, celebrate the greatness that is you. Acknowledge your gifts. Acknowledge your ability to make choices and live by those choices. Because in that is choosing to live by faith and then making your actions match that choice. It is a beautiful thing, but it is a journey. And just know God is going to send things and people along your journey to help you. You just have to be willing to accept and recognize when they appear. And it doesn't always appear the way you want it, but it definitely shows up the way you need. So there's that. All right. Whew. It is Sunday. It is a beautiful day. Everybody is breathing. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Go brunch. Go listen to some jazz. Go do some puzzles. Crack a book. Go sit with a friend. Go do whatever it is that makes your world rotate on a happy plane. But as I always say, you guys go do great things. And as always, protect your peace, and your mental health.